Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. You're watching Newsroom. I'm your host Mohammad. But today is the 18th of June 2021 and these are the stories that we will be talking about during the course of the show. We will begin with the elections for the new president in Iran. Although a lot of people in Iran have a fairly good idea on who is going to be the next president, nevertheless, will it change the regional or the global scenario as far as Iran is concerned? This is going to be our leading segment. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about the fight against Covid-19 across the globe and in Pakistan specifically, and Pakistan's success story to counter Covid-19. As you know, that the positivity rate across the entire country, apart from Sindh, has decreased to a large extent. Then we'll be talking to Dr. Nauman Ahmed of the Department of Electrical Engineering at LUMS, who has created the first long-lasting battery for UPS and cars that could last up to 10 years in collaboration with the HEC. And then finally, we'll be talking about water scarcity and drought and how they are going to wreak havoc across the world. And it could be also in Pakistan. There's a report that has come out. We'll be talking about that. Let's begin with our leading segment, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns, of course, the presidential elections in Iran and the impact that it will have on the regional and global scenario. More in the following report.
Amid crippling US-imposed economic sanctions and pandemic-ravaged socio-political landscape, Iranians are choosing a new president. Despite all problems and complications, the presidential elections are important for the region and world owing to the possible impact of this election upon fate of Iran nuclear deal. Iran's Guardian Council, a 12-member constitutional vetting body under Supreme Leader Ali Hosseini Khamenei, has approved 7 candidates for presidential elections and barred several prominent contenders. Nearly 60 million eligible voters in Iran will decide the fate of 4 candidates in the fray to succeed President Hassan Rouhani. Though the turnout is expected to be low as the country deals with a battered economy and the ongoing pandemic, official opinion polls suggest turnout could be as low as 41%, significantly lower than in past elections. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has already urged people to turn out in large numbers, saying that would help avert foreign pressures on the Islamic Republic. Iranian Chief Justice Ebrahim Raisi, avowed by Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, appears to be the front-runner amongst 4 candidates running for president in Iran. It's unpredictable to ascertain the outcome of election. If elected, Raisi would be the first serving Iranian president sanctioned by US government even before entering office and hence complicating the ongoing US-Iran negotiations. The election of President Joe Biden gave some hope that US sanctions might be eased as part of efforts to revive 2015 Iranian nuclear deal, but elections of Washington sanctions judge might trigger Western backlash as Biden's foreign policy strategy accords importance to human rights.
Now, to talk about Iran's future as far as its presidential elections are concerned and what impact it is going to have on Iran and on its cooperation and collaboration with different countries and the regional and global scenario, we've been joined by Ambassador Asif Durrani Sahab. He's a former ambassador. Thank you very much, Asif Durrani Sahab, to have joined us. And of course, it is a very important topic because Iran is a very important country, not only for Pakistan, but also for the global scenario and also for this region as well. How much do you feel is the new presidential election going to impact the foreign policy of Iran and the internal politics of Iran?
Well, the foreign policy has always been governed by the system itself, irrespective of the fact that who has been the president, whether a moderate or a conservative. Because I think moderates and conservatives are the 2 sides of the same coin. So you will be, I mean, it is interesting to note that conservatives and moderates, they alternate. If you look at the past history, so if about Mr. Ebrahim Yazdi, it is a foregone conclusion that he'll win the elections. Before him was Mr. Rouhani, considered to be a moderate, and before Mr. Rouhani, it was Mr. Ahmadinejad, who was a conservative, hardliner. And before Mr. Ahmadinejad, we had Mr. Khatami, who was a moderate.
Why is this alternate mechanism work?
I think there is a modus vivendi evolved by the clerical rule in the country that how they'll alternate.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, both, whether they are moderates or they are conservatives, they owe their allegiance to the revolution. Both are revolutionaries. They may have approaches, different perceptions about certain issues, but at the end of the day, they are, as I said, 2 sides of the same coin.
Now, if irrespective of whichever government, as you have said, comes into power, the decisions, the major decisions are made by a certain system that is already in place in Iran, and that of course follows a certain mechanism. Now, do you feel there could be a certain change with if Mr. Ibrahim Raisi, who is an ally and a protege of the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, comes into power?
I don't think so. Reason being that when it came to nuclear deal, which is called Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action or JCPOA, it was negotiated by the moderate President Rouhani and Dr. Jawad Zarif, but it had the blessings of the Rahbar, who is the final authority. The Supreme Leader Khamenei, he holds the veto power on three levels of the governance, which is President's office, which is Parliament, and then the judiciary. So any judgment passed by the judiciary can be vetoed by the Rahbar, or Parliament's act can be vetoed by the President, or any presidential decree can be in fact rejected by the Rahbar. So in that respect, since they call it Wilayat-e-Faqih, the rule of the clergy, so it has set out for itself certain no-go areas where no one, whether it's conservative or moderate, they cannot cross the limits. And this is what the system is. But at the same time, you will also give credit that despite all these criticisms abroad or criticism within the country, they have held elections with regularity. It's a regular
It is a
feature.
continuous process.
It has never even stopped during the war they had with Iraq. So in that respect, I think they have given a system, and it has also survived the Arab Spring, which in fact disturbed so many Arab states, and they are still, I think, conservative Arab states, they feel threatened, but it was Iranian system which has still, survived.
All right. Now, Ambassador Saab, you talked of the JCPO. Do you feel there is going to be any change from the US side? Because of course we are hearing since some time that once Joe Biden comes into power, he's going to renegotiate JCPOA, and this deal will be put again into action, maybe under a different mechanism, but the same JCPOA will be reinstalled. Do you feel that a change of president might change the mindset of the US as well?
Well, as regards JCPOA, US will have to revert to the nuclear deal. That is the first condition, because it was President Trump who withdrew from the JCPOA. So first condition has to be fulfilled is that United States has to come back. If they want to bring in any changes in the JCPOA, then I think once they are part of it, then they can negotiate that what amendments they want to bring in. But at the same time, the United States, previously President Trump was insisting, and even American present administration, they will also insist, are the two issues. One is Iran's missile program, another is Iran's Middle East policy. So which they think is interventionist. But from the Iranian side, they say these are not within the purview of the nuclear deal.
Are these two issues also no-go areas?
No, I don't think so. But I think when you are within the system, I think then those can be discussed. But I don't think Iran will agree that the United States should be a broker on these issues. Iranian policy is that these two issues, whether missile program or Iran's Middle East policy, can be discussed by the states of the region.
All right. Now let's talk about, of course, you mentioned Iran's Middle East policy. Let's talk about the relationship with Iran and other Arab countries or Middle Eastern countries. Do you feel there is a change in the making, or do you feel there's going to be a status quo?
Well, I think change in a sense, you can say that already there are certain vibes. Saudis and Iranians, they are talking in Baghdad through the mediation of the Iraqi Prime Minister. And initial contacts have been made at the official level, and that has been acknowledged by both sides, Saudi Arabia as well as Iran. So, and there's a reason to it, because with Mr. Biden's elections, I think Saudi Arabia has come under pressure, especially on the Khashoggi issue and human rights issues. So I think this, Saudi Arabia has also seen that with persistent tensions with Iran is not going to help both the countries and the region. And that's why I think Saudi Arabia has also improved relations with Qatar. So this is a way, because the things which are coming up in the Middle East, and since the Middle East is full of tensions, and if you look at the global level, those tensions are only you find in the Middle Eastern region. So
and why is that? Why do you have so many tensions in so many different countries of the Middle East?
There are many reasons. I mean, apart from Saudi-Iran tiff, there have been issues of, cousin rivalries among the Gulf states, which is why Qatar was looking the other way, and it found a partnership with Turkey and Iran. Then Turkey is a new entrant into this game. Earlier they were a candidate with the European Union, but I think now they have washed their hands from European Union, and so now they are looking for their role in the Middle East. And they are also affected because of the Syrian civil war. Turkey borders and is a neighbor of Syria. It's also a neighbor of Iraq. So those developments have impacted Turkey. So Turkey's involvement is there, and Saudis have been wary of that. But of late, there have been discussions between Turkey and Saudi Arabia to improve the relationship. So I think it's heading
in the right direction,
to a positive direction as far as Turkey and Iranian problems with Saudi Arabia is concerned.
All right. Now, two other points: Iran, Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan. Do you feel that Iran's foreign policy as far as these two countries is going to remain the same, or will we see some changes?
There's already, you can say, a tangible difference in the Iranian approach. Earlier, they were quite, but it is now almost 15 years that they have improved the relationship with the Taliban. In fact, they are assisting Taliban financially as well as otherwise, some equipment wise. And now I think Iran and Pakistan are almost on the same page as far as future of Afghanistan is concerned, or its stability is concerned. So you will see that Taliban are now in contact, and they have been recognized by all the neighbors of Afghanistan, i.e. Iran, Russia. Russia means Central Asian states which neighbor Afghanistan, which are Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan, and then China. And then with Pakistan also has facilitated the dialogue between the Taliban and the Americans, as well as it has also been instrumental in pushing the Taliban to hold negotiations with the Ashraf Ghani government. So in that respect, I think Iranians also support that effort which Pakistan has been making. So far there are positive vibes as far as neighbors of Afghanistan are concerned.
All right.
But the main battle would be inside Afghanistan. I hope that the peace prevails and better sense prevails, and they enter into some kind of a rapprochement between Ashraf Ghani and Taliban.
China and Iran are also coming closer. We've seen in the last few months that there have been a lot of rapprochement between the two countries as well. Do you feel this is a mechanism that is also going to continue under the new leadership?
Yeah, I think, because I think there is a consensus in Iran with regard to having better and positive relationship with China, and China has reciprocated. So a few months ago, they formally announced the $400 agreement over a period of 25 years, which on average is $15 billion per annum. And most of it would be invested in the energy sector.
All right.
So, and also now China is the largest trading partner of Iran.
True.
So not only oil, but all equipment and medium and big size industrial exports are taking place from China to Iran.
All right. And how do, in your point of view, the people in Iran see this change in leadership or this electoral process of electing a new president? Do you feel their daily lives or the way they function is going to change? Is there a unanimous support for any person who comes as the new president?
Well, I think domestically, there are difficulties at the political level, at the social level, and economic level. Mostly it is the economy which has received a big hit because of the American sanctions, because other countries are reluctant to enter into business with Iran. So this is something which is a very difficult area for the Iranians, common Iranian. They are hard pressed because of the economy and because of the sanctions.
All right. Thank you very much, Ambassador Asif Durrani sahab, to have joined us and to have come all the way to the studios to talk about this very important change. Although, as you have pointed out, that this is a change that always happens and happens at a regular interval and under a normal mechanism. Not much is going to change as far as the global scenario or the foreign policy of Iran is concerned. But nevertheless, we look forward to maintaining strong relationship with Iran. And of course, we also want to see the JCPOA being reinitiated with a new vigor so that Iran also comes back into the limelight, and of course the people in Iran see better days.
Thank you for
Thank you very much. Thank you very much
for having me.
Now, to talk more about Iran and the elections that are taking place today, we've been joined by the Ambassador of Iran to Pakistan, Excellency Seyed Mohammad Ali Hosseini. Excellency, thank you very much to have joined us for this show. Today is, of course, an important day in your country. What kind of election do you foresee in your country that is taking place today? What's your opinion on that?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And thank you for your calling. You know, the high participation of Iranians as the main base of the Republic, because the Republic is a very fundamental pillar of our Islamic system. The high participation of Iranians in this period of the presidential election is very important for our country. And also the wide and enthusiastic participation of Iranians will be a source of power and a strong element for the system of the Islamic Republic of Iran in foreign policy. The opinion of the people today can determine the fate of Iran at least for the next 4 years.
All right, sir. Sir, speaking of elections, and of course the Iranians are voting today, the Iranians who are present currently in Pakistan, sir, will they also be voting for the new president?
Yes. For the past few weeks, the embassy of Islamic Republic of Iran, our embassy, and its consulate general, as you may be aware, that we have 4 consulate general in Karachi, in Lahore, and in Kuwait and Peshawar. They have made also the necessary preparations to hold this important election in Pakistan and to enable the presence of Iranian living in Pakistan. And thank God, today this election was held simultaneously with Iran in 4 polling stations in Pakistan. And as we expected, a significant number of Iranian living in Pakistan went to the polls, and the embassy and 3 Iranian consulate general in Pakistan. And here I should thank the authority Pakistani brothers who were responsible to help us to hold this and to guarantee the security and many facilities we asked, and they applied for us, and I should thank all of them.
All right. Excellency, how do you see the relationship that exists between our 2 brotherly countries, the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Islamic Republic of Pakistan?
You know, because our relation is brotherly, friendly, and for 2 neighboring countries, and according to our constitution, Muslim countries and neighboring countries have the priority in our foreign policy. That's why any government will take power in Iran. This priority has an importance, and it is very important for all the governments because it is according to the constitution. And I surely can say that new government of the Islamic Republic of Iran also will try its best to promote the bilateral brotherly relation with Pakistan in all fields.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir, to have joined us and to have given us a brief outlook about the elections that are taking place in Iran as of today. We wish you all the very best with the new leadership, sir, and we hope to talk to you very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All the best for you and for Pakistan.
And of course, now let's talk about our second topic of the day, that is COVID-19 in Pakistan. Although the number of cases across the country has decreased to a large extent, still in the Sindh province, we see a large number of cases that are still present there. More in the following report.
As the world is tirelessly battling health pandemic, Pakistan registers 65% decline in about 2 months, since positivity rate plummeted to 3% for the last 2 weeks. The data released by National Command and Operations Center illustrates that the number of patients admitted to hospitals, which was around 7,000 in April, was 2,746 as of June 17th. The country also witnessed staggering 50,000 active cases as of June 2020 during first 2 waves, and situation started to dramatically improve as the number of active figures nosedive, dropping to less than 6,000 in September 2020. In order to ameliorate the surge of pandemic, the provinces and the administrative units sought help of armed forces for implementation of the SOPs, resulting in stout compliance with SOPs. Another timely decision of authorities was announcement of lockdown from 8th of May, resulting in significant decline of active cases. Apparently, Pakistan has dodged the bullet owing to rigorous implementation of standard operating procedures and robust vaccination drive. Pakistan administered 1.2 million COVID-19 vaccine doses, with Federal Minister of Planning, Development and Special Initiatives Asad Umar announcing that the authorities aim to inoculate 70 million people by the end of this year. In order to consolidate these gains, there is urgency to raise awareness campaigns in order to ratchet up momentum of vaccination drive, accompanied by dedicated compliance with corona SOPs. The coronavirus situation in Pakistan offers a sobering reminder of how concerted government strategy and public cooperation can mitigate the disastrous situations.
Well, let's talk about Pakistan's positivity rate as far as COVID-19 is concerned. It has fallen to 1.9%. That is the lowest so far this year. And we've been joined by, of course, our regular guest who we talk to about COVID-19 and the impact on society, Dr. Rana Jawad Asghar Saab. He is a leading epidemiologist. Dr. Saab, thank you very much to have joined us. Dr. Saab, the reduction in the cases of COVID-19, although we do see a certain number of cases in the Sindh province, what do you attribute this to? The vaccination, the heat, or the people following the SOPs, or a mix of all three? Oh, all right. Well, there's some technical issue due to which we cannot get hold of Dr. Rana Jawad Asghar for the moment. We were talking about the positivity ratio in Pakistan. It has dropped to 1.9%. That is the lowest so far this year. If we go as far as the number of cases in different provinces of Pakistan is concerned, in Sindh, 605 cases, 14 deaths. Provincial tallies, 330,552. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, 189 cases, 5 deaths in the last 24 hours. In Punjab, 129 cases, 17 deaths. Balochistan, 57 cases, 3 deaths. Islamabad, 25 cases. That is, of course, a huge low. Azad Jammu and Kashmir, 24 cases. Gilgit-Baltistan, 14 cases. And of course, this shows that there seems to be a mixture of different components. People seem to be following the SOPs. Then, of course, there is the heat season, the summer season that is upon us. And we remember last year as well, during this very season, the number of cases had reduced. So there's some kind of impact of summer season or the increase in temperature on the virulence of COVID-19, and maybe that is a factor that is working in our favor as well. At the same time, a large number of people are getting themselves vaccinated across the country as well. The government has opened the vaccination process now for even the 19 plus age group, and of course those who are belonging to the educational sectors, 18 plus can come in wherever they want to at the vaccination center along with the certificate of the institution and get themselves vaccinated. Different vaccines are present, whether it be Sinopharm, Sinovac, or the Pakistani vaccine, which is a single-dose vaccine that has also started to be given to different segments of the society across Pakistan. Then there is the AstraZeneca that was being distributed on a private level, and a lot of people did get themselves vaccinated by this. AstraZeneca, in fact, is a public thing, but it was Sputnik 5, the Russian vaccine, that was given on a private level. But now, nowadays, of course, we have all of these mixtures of vaccines, whether it be AstraZeneca, Sinopharm, Sinovac, the Pakistani Covid-19 vaccine that is also, has, after the successful trials, is now being given to the different segments of the society. 65% decrease in the number of cases as far as Covid-19 is concerned across Pakistan, and that is a huge amount. What needs to be really done by the society is a collective responsibility. I mean, whether you are at work, whether you're at home or in the street, driving with family or by yourself, try to follow the SOPs, keep wearing a mask. If you are many in the car, if you are by yourself, there's no need to wear a mask. But indoors, if you are with other people, especially if you're not at home, you need to wear your mask. You need to keep a safe distance from people of at least 2.5 to 6 feet. And then, of course, you have to keep washing your hands with any form of soap that you can find. This is the main source of kind of giving you that prevention against the virus, because as we know, there are so many different variants of Covid-19 that have also come up, whether it be the Brazilian, the British, and the latest being the Indian variant of the virus that is known as the Delta variant of the virus, that has become the most virulent virus, whether it be Germany, whether it be Sydney, whether it be other countries. This is what is happening, and this is mutation of the virus that is creating the most havoc. In Afghanistan as well, Covid-19 is out of control, and there is the number of cases are increasing manifold. So of course, a huge responsibility comes on the government and on the people themselves as well as to follow the SOPs. Let's go to our next segment, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns joint collaboration of the Higher Education Commission and the LUMS University. Dr.Jahangir Ikram and Dr. Nauman Ahmed of the Department of Electrical Engineering in LUMS, in collaboration with the HEC, have prepared the first long-lasting battery for the UPS and for the cars that can last for up to 10 years. Dr. Nauman Ahmed joins us online. Dr. Saab, first of all, congratulations on your invention. Second of all, when and how did you get the idea?
Thank you so very much. The idea actually started about 3 years ago. We had an industrial collaborator who, in conjunction with Lahore Chamber of Commerce and Industries, approached LUMS. They wanted to work in the EV domain. So we discussed 3 years ago, there was no apparent activity in the EV sector as such. So we discussed and we realized that, I mean, it's a good opportunity in developing countries to actually start with stationary storage. We have a lot of UPS systems, we have a lot of solar systems, and currently people use lead-acid batteries that last maybe a year, maybe 18 months, no more. So why don't we actually use the same technology that is used in EV batteries, start creating batteries for our existing needs, and by the time the EV activity starts, we would have established some sort of a value chain in the battery domain in Pakistan. So then the next question was, who should be the target customers? And for lithium-ion batteries, majority targets new installations. We have about 2.8 million UPS systems that are already deployed, and an approximate annual lead-acid battery replacement cost to the people is around $1.2 billion. So we said, okay, why not create a battery that is a lithium-ion battery, but to the systems, the UPS systems and the solar systems, it creates an interface that makes it look like a lead-acid battery. So that is where the innovation came, and then the industrial partner was on board. At the same time, HEC had a call for proposals on industry-academia collaboration on some innovative technology that can be commercialized. So we put in a proposal, it got selected, and then we developed the battery system. that are lithium-ion based. In that, we developed a manufacturing setup and a value chain for the battery to be developed locally. We do not manufacture lithium-ion cells, but we develop the battery, we develop its electronics, the battery management system. This battery is also intelligent, it's IoT enabled, so it can also provide energy as a service paradigm value to the people. So, yeah, that's the history of the project and how.
All right, now, Dr. Nauman, you said that it is of course ready, and the whole process took some time, and you talked about how you got the idea and which are your partners. Now, when is this battery, A, for the cars, and secondly for the UPS, going to be available in the market? Because if I understand well, the prototype is ready.
Yeah, the prototype is ready. Even the small-scale manufacturing has already been launched. We carried out an early adopters program, and the batteries were distributed commercially. People actually bought them. They are already deployed. And we now have a second shipment of the raw materials, which is coming from China. Our industrial setup is delayed a little because of the machinery import from China. We are unable to travel and validate those machinery components which are required. And so we're still into the assembly part locally. So it's still being manufactured locally, but the automation part is still missing. So the name of the company is BarkBox. So it's BARQBOX. So, and the web presence is already there. So www.barkbox.com has a lot of information about the battery and the services that the company provides. The UPS and solar batteries are already available. We have also tested some prototype batteries in two-wheelers that have been running on the road for about 6-8 months already. And the automobile batteries, the internal combustion engine starter batteries, we are in the process of developing those as well.
Wonderful. This is really wonderful news, Dr. Nauman, and I wish to be one of the first people who will be buying the batteries for the UPS and for the car in the future as well. We wish you all the very best with this and all future inventions that you will be coming up with. All the very best, sir. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to our last segment of this today and of this week, that is water scarcity and drought that are said to wreak damage on a scale to rival the COVID-19 pandemic. More in the following report.
The world is still grappling with the pandemic-induced colossal challenges, oblivious of another hidden global crisis that poses existential threat to humanity. United Nations has raised alarm bells in its recent report that drought might inflict damage proportional to pandemic in future. According to this report, at least 1.5 billion people have been directly affected by drought this century, and the economic cost has been estimated at $124 billion. The true cost is likely to be many times higher because such estimates do not include much of the impact in developing countries. UN Special Representative for Disaster Risk Reduction, Mami Mazothuri, commented that drought is on the verge of becoming the next pandemic and there is no vaccine to cure it. Ironically, human activities are exacerbating the drought, exposing more people in many regions to the impacts of drought. The water stress will inflict a liberating blow to food security, as drought is a major factor in land degradation and the decline of yields for major crops. UN report urged the world to forge a modernized view of drought by efficiently managing water resources. Pakistan is facing a serious threat to its food security and rural livelihoods because of escalating water shortages. Recently, Prime Minister Imran Khan also emphasized that a water crisis was likely to hit Pakistan in the coming days. Thus, 2018 National Water Policy needs a revamp and aggressive implementation for robust water management. Still grappling with the pandemic-induced colossal.
You were just hearing the report about water scarcity and drought and how this could wreak havoc not only to countries such as Pakistan but to countries across the world. This is a global form of I wouldn't call it a pandemic, but this is something that is going to affect every single person across the world, whether you'd be in Europe or in Asia or even in the subcontinent. What needs to be done is, like our government is doing, is to work against climate change and to plant as many trees as possible, to work and make this world a greener place to live in, a more environment friendly place to live in, because as what Mami Mizutori, the UN Special Representative for Disaster Risk Reduction, has told in online press briefing, is that drought is on the verge of becoming the next pandemic, and this is something that we need to take very, very seriously. She said about 130 countries, and this is not a joke, 130 countries could face a greater risk of drought this century alone under a high emission scenario that is cited by the United Nations. Another 23 countries, she has said, will confront water shortages because of population growth, and 38 nations will be affected by both. And the United Nations says that it is foreseeing this change to happen in most of Africa, Central and South America, Central Asia, Southern Australia, Southern Europe, Mexico, and the United States as well. We need to be very, very cautious, and that is why this is a collective responsibility. Make the world green and a better place to live in. This brings us to the end of today's newsroom, and of course this week's newsroom as well. We'll see you inshallah after a 2-day break on Monday. In the meantime, stay safe, get yourselves vaccinated, and have a great weekend. Allah Hafiz.